we played Kirby Air Riders.
You're watching Gamescom Studio on IGN. I'm Brian Altano. That's Per Schneider from our weekly show, Nintendo Voice Chat. Earlier this week, we got a 45-minute direct for the spiritual successor to the GameCube classic Kirby Air Ride. It's called Kirby Air Riders, directed and created by Masahiro Sakurai. And here at Gamescom on the show floor, we got to play it. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we stood in line for a while to get our playtime in.
I've seen a lot of people pretty negative about this game. I don't know. I don't get it.
Mode, really one of the core modes of the old game that people actually liked way more than the racing stuff. The racing stuff wasn't in there. At least I didn't see it. And
they didn't let us play it, which I'm a little bummed about.
The folks
you can't.
Didn't
Oh,
actually
buddy.
know whether it was in there either at the time. But you know, it looked like it was all city trial, and then you could pick 4 different challenges at the end.
Yeah.
How did yours go? Like, they let me skip the first tutorial options, which were like press left to turn left and stuff. I saw you did them.
So just a heads up for those watching at home, we are the experts in video games here at IGN. So I'm going to give you a quick pro tip. When you're playing Kirby Air Riders and you want to go left or right, hit the left or right joystick left or right. That's a little cheat code for you guys. Little advanced secret before the game's out.
Yeah, I mean, you say that you know this, but when I was looking over, you were doing those tutorial modes. Like, you were
They did ask me to
doing
be
the basic.
So I had to clear all 10 tutorials before they let us actually play. But what's important about Kirby Air Riders that was present in the original is that it's not necessarily a game that plays itself, but it's got a very simplified control scheme. Within all that, there's still there's some room for complicated and advanced technique, but you will sort of move automatically without having to push anything.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So this time around, on top of the original, with holding the B button to kind of pull back and boost. Think about kind of like taking a rubber band and pulling it back, right? And releasing it. You've also got a Y button, which after charging up, doing actions throughout the world, you can use to unleash like a flurry of attacks. You played as Starman?
Yes, I played the little chubby Kirby star, Mario Star lookalike.
Yeah.
By the way, they increased the number of buttons used by 100% for this game.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Switch too, baby.
Yeah.
No, and I played as Meta Knight because I was just like, I want to hit some people with a sword. And so, they threw us in a couple of different tutorials that gave us sort of a lay of the land of, here's what happens when you jump off a ramp. You want to like level your car a little bit. So
it's got like a snowboarding game mechanic, right? Where you get an extra boost if you land straight on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of technique in it.
Yes, there is.
And it does remind me of Smash Brothers, where it's like, it's very simple to get in and understand what you're supposed to do, right? Like knock somebody off the platform, but like the way all the stuff you can do is actually quite complex and quite deep. Now, will most players discover it? I think that this depends on the age group. It is pure chaos, right?
It is pure chaos.
Yeah.
And there was, I had some gripes with the way it controlled because you're largely using 1 or 2 buttons and the stick, but to interact with some of the things in the environment, namely like item boxes, when you want to break those open, in Mario Kart, you just drive into one, right? And obviously,
how do you get in this
Mario
game?
Kart, this is taking some sensibilities from Smash, which is like, you want to pull that stick back and forth, and you want to
Hey, chill out.
In a racing game that isn't on a 2D plane, that gets a little trickier. So you're doing a lot of like wiggling and shaking.
You
of
can
the
also
stick.
smash. You can like hold B and charge up, and like you almost come to a stop, which is very different from drifting and boosting in Mario Kart, right? Like you have to slow down, so it feels a little bit more like a Kirby platform or something like that. But you can smash into the boxes, then you get power ups. The whole point of City Trial It actually reminds me a little bit of games when I was a young lad, back in the 1800s. We used to have these games that had multiple phases. And like nowadays, board games, like tabletop games have that. Like there was a game called Archon where you had a chess part and then you had a combat part. What City Trial is,
I'm back. Welcome back, brother.
As many power-ups as you can.
They're just talking about
go
Kirby.
after the ones you really need to boost.
I haven't talked to
elements
Pan
of
about
your
this. I know Pan
character,
gotta be
like your stats, and it's
fucking
a
excited.
ton of
That
them,
nigga love
right?
Kirby.
And then also combat against your friends and engage in like sort of events in the hub, like a giant pillar of like magma comes down and like everybody heads towards it and tries to
How the
smash
food,
it.
man? How the
They
food,
boost
man?
into it, or they waggle the sticks in order to beat it up. When it explodes, all these power-ups come out, and then everybody frantically tries to grab them or smash into each other to steal them.
Which I got very lucky. I watched that event happen in the world. You and several other players are all smacking the heck out of this tower, and then you all get into a little skirmish catfight off to the side. And I was like, cool, 20 items for free from me. So that was fun, but like I think the actual direction of what you're doing moment to moment can be a little crazy. The world is not big. The city is not big by any means. But there are portals that let you hop around. There are these sort of dimensional.
I mean, I don't feel like the
rails,
area should be
right,
that
yeah,
big. It's
yeah,
only
and so like, there's a
5
whole bunch of different things that you
minutes.
can kind of grab and collect on the way. But you're largely.
I saw
just
people on
kinda
the
running
internet
around in
though,
circles in Smash.
kind of like weird about this mode because they're like, I don't know. They're like people arguing that, oh, it's not big enough. I know it isn't, but there's other people like, oh, when I was a kid, I do this shit for hours, and I just don't feel like that's equivalent, bro. When I was a kid, I used to do some bullshit. Like, nigga, games that I played as a kid for hours, I guarantee I would not be playing for hours today. Like, obviously not every game, but
Crashing into each other, which
I don't know. Like I've been saying, Nintendo really doesn't do that online shit, and now I feel like we've entered a generation, bro, where every other online game gives you so much motivation to play, and Nintendo's still like, because they don't really do free to play. They do, hey, play our game to have fun. But it's like for a lot of people, they might have fun the first or second time, but they're not going to consistently hop on. Like, if there's not a reason to play, a lot of people aren't going to continue playing.
felt like a sort of less, measured take on Mario Kart's battle mode, where you don't necessarily have like 3 balloons in front of you.
It's chaos.
Yeah, it's
Ooh,
chaos.
good.
chaos,
Patty
and
Melon.
it's-
There you
it's
go,
like
man.
one phase of a 2-phase game, right? Like you have to.
Let's have some
It's
ribs.
just chaos. Everybody beating each other up. You can get your machine,
Bro, it's just
rider
tough,
can be
bro.
destroyed, and
'Cause I
you have
like
to
Nintendo
start over,
games.
like all sorts of stuff can happen, and like you start.
But there's a
sweating,
reason you don't
and
see
then
me
it
on
goes
Mario
to
Kart
the
every
second
day. That being
phase
said,
where
Mario
all
Kart
the
had
players have to pick one of
cosmetics, and
4
I could like
things, and they're
combine shit
very,
on my
very different
card,
things. And so
make shit
depending
look
on
kind of
what
crazy,
you powered up,
design
you
that
could be
shit with like,
prepped to
I'd probably
amazing
be
at the
playing it
challenge,
more if
like
they needed me to play
flying
more.
really
But
high and fast,
when I hop on Mario
going really
Kart, it's
fast,
okay.
right? Or you could be
I hop on my
screwed a little
character.
bit because everybody else picks
Like, I've had
something
my fun.
that they're good
So.
at, and like you kind of miss out.
Is
Which was
what
odd
it is,
because
man.
I played with a couple people, including you, in our row,
So this
and
game
we all
update-
had a sort of recommendation button.
Yeah.
This game
on the
updated,
side
I
of our thing,
might start
and
it
mine was
now
different than
instead
the
of
rest of
playing
yours.
Overwatch.
So I
Yes.
picked that one, and I ended up in a match with 7 other CPUs.
So that was
Bet.
only because of our setup. Like with the final game.
Hold on.
When you're playing online, even if you pick, like you are forced then to go into our challenge, I believe, right?
I
Like,
want to
you
start
will
this
not
other
be off
game because
on your
Finn
own
and
is
T
what
played
the
it, and they
gentleman
both
said.
dropped that
So,
shit.
Yeah, I was confused by that as first too, but I mean, generally, I played the original.
So what hope
Kirby
do I
Air
have?
Ride
Same,
when
yeah.
it came out way back when on GameCube, and I have the same impression now than I had then. I'm like, I don't know if it's for me. Like, just to be completely honest here, like it isn't. People say it's like a fighting game. It isn't. It's like it has phases where you are trying to smash into people. You don't have that sort of full control over it because your ride always auto drives and you have to sort of slow down to boost. Like it feels like a really weird stop and go experience to me.
It does, yeah.
But when I played it when my kids were really little,
What
when the
game is
original
it?
came out, they were obsessed with it. They loved it. This was their
Wu-Chang.
favorite game. I still have the disc. It's completely scratched because they loved it so
It's like
much. And,
Souls like.
they just love this sort of
So you already know
gallery,
it's just good.
chasing down the best ride and like upgrading, and I can see how it will appeal to people who are not necessarily into the sort of nuanced gas and brake controls and just love the chaos of it all.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, I'm kind of in the same boat where I think I'm a little more traditionalist when it comes to like when I want to play a game like this, I'll play Mario
Yeah.
Kart. When I want to play a fighting game, I'll play a fighting
Cook
game.
up.
There's enough like sort of arcadey fun.
I'll
here.
give you 40
I'm
minutes.
wondering
40
where the
minutes is
depth
a
is in
steep
terms of, like,
guess. I appreciate it.
unlockables, like progression.
Yeah.
Like, are you getting new characters for doing more actions repeatedly? We saw a character select screen. That
Yeah.
is half full, right?
Yeah,
like there's
yeah,
all the
Like, I'm not, especially like early on, I think this game can be like pretty exciting. But for me, as like under 15 cook up, like I like Kirby, but I wouldn't say I'm like a huge Kirby fan or anything. I'm not gonna be excited about really unlocking anybody here.
empty space down there. And Nintendo fans know.
I'm probably gonna play Waddle
Sakurai
Dee
Smash
and
Brothers
fucking
fans
Meta
know
Knight.
that when there's blank spots on a page like that, new characters are coming. So what's going to happen there? So
We'll see.
I'm
Now
interested
I'm
to see how
kind of
that
so.
unfolds.
Some people were talking about it. They were thinking because they're doing chariots that they might do that Kid Icarus collab because it's Sakurai. where maybe Pitt doesn't get in the game, but his cart could, like Chariot. That
think
shit would be
it's just a matter
cool.
of, like,
But that's
if we can
W
get that
copium.
gameplay
That's
loop
W
to
cope
click
because
for
that shit's not
you,
happening.
it'll feel great. But in terms
But I've
of
seen
like
people talking about that.
a $70 premium product, I think a lot of audiences have been conditioned to think of some of the sort of smaller Kirby games.
Yeah.
They were kind of like eShop exclusives. They're like $10 each. They're mini games. That maybe that's what they go for. And then there's the Kirby 3D platformers. So it's going to be interesting how this sits next to some of the other bigger games that Nintendo sells.
I honestly thought this would be the perfect game for a Nintendo Switch online game where like you start off with City Trial and after like 2 months suddenly they flip the map on you.
Yeah.
And like maybe City Trial goes away and it's a new one. It's like
That's not Nintendo, bro. The fact that they even said that or suggested it is so crazy. Because that is crazier than Nintendo has ever done for an online game ever.
landscape trial.
Sure.
It'll-
Nintendo doesn't even understand online games. They think if you just add online, the game is a million times better. It'll be no new
Right.
modes,
I
no
also don't know
nothing.
what's
You
in the
can just
game,
play it
right?
online
is
now.
there a surprise?
Have
Are
fun.
there other open hub maps that you compete in? We didn't
No
really see much
updates.
of the stages, and they
The
showed
update is
some of
adding
it
Daisy
in
to the game.
Video instruction manual that Sakurai did. There were a lot of tracks. Like it's hard to tell what it will be, but they did crank this out fairly quickly, right? Development time was short, so
Man,
maybe
yeah,
it's
no,
meant
they
to
did
be
make
a
this
little
shit
bit
fast as
more of a
fuck.
compact experience.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it is a very pretty looking game. It's
'Cause
a very
V-
chaotic and fun looking.
If
game.
they
Actually
approached them about it
controlling gets a
before
little
Sora
cumbersome
came
for me
out,
at times.
Yeah.
I had some issues with the camera a little bit. There was one power up that
What,
one player
it's less
got that
than,
made us
like,
all
4
tiny.
years?
And in Mario Kart, the camera stays exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And you're tiny for just a little bit, right? Then it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
This felt like a full minute, and the camera zooms all the way up, almost.
All
like
right,
you're
I'll
looking
tell
down
you
on
when the
wet
timer
machines on
starts
the
for
floor.
Wu-Chang.
And I kind of looked over to you, and I'm like, still going, huh?
There's
Yeah.
a certain level of jank in this game,
Yeah,
right? Where
yeah.
it does feel like a 2000 era game, not like a modern game. Just the way it looks and controls and the chaos and the camera flipping and the hitting the rails and stuff. I don't know. Maybe you'll get to this point where you're like Neo in the Matrix and you're like, oh, you can just navigate this world without bumping into anything. But like, we clearly did not see that performance from these two players today.
We did not, no. But either way, welcome back, Nintendo GameCube, and all your jank and charm. We love you and we miss you. Pear, obviously, huge fan of the GameCube. You were like covering IGN during that whole era. But until then, Kirby Air Riders is out November 20th on Nintendo Switch 2. We'll have a review for it. We'll have preview coverage and Let's Plays. And I think people.
I like Meta Knight. Me too.
You and I aren't there just
But
yet,
if Meta Knight's
but we
there
wanna
from the
play more of
jump
it.
and I already have a
Anyway,
cart
thanks for
that I
watching.
like,
Stick around for more Game
then it's
Town
kind of
right
like,
here.
where's the
Yeah.
grind?
Bye.
What do I grind? Like I got everything I need. Cause Meta Knight's cold. I just, I've been said it. You guys all know I've said it.